A space can lose its contextual meaning, and families can lose focus when a space that a family occupies lose its contextual meaning. The family becomes unfocused in many cases, and they tend to fragment, and everyone moves around without a sense of purpose as far as the families uh, as a whole is concerned. Many people could be financially rich, or many families, if they would only organize. But the family, because the family do not have a sort of concrete or definable, um, I don't know what the word would be, purpose or whatever. They can't coheve. They can't. Uh, they lose the ability to coalesce, and they lose the ability to gel because the family doesn't have a like a like a definable, um I don't know, culture around it. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to put. I can only express. Oh, well, let me get what I flesh out what I mean. Okay, well, what I'm really getting at is that what will happen is when a family does not keep a family history that shows the outline and progression of time, and shows what the ancestors were doing, for example, what they were doing, how they were doing it, why they were doing it, things, um, and there's no clear cut family direction. So, for example, let us say a West Indian island, any given West Indian island, you would find, um, let us say, a man and a woman who, let us say, has minimal education to about what we would consider to be, in some cases, just a primary school education. And let us say, in both cases, you would find a lot of the wives were homemakers. So they didn't have the luxury of extended study. They didn't have the luxury of or the time so much to read and stuff. They were more culturally, as a result of the culture dictates, oriented towards keeping the family, you know, together, like, keeping the place clean, making sure the domestic chores are done, and running the actual household. But take, for example, the man. Usually, the man would bring in more money than the woman. In most cases, the man was the sole breadwinner. So you'd find a man might join a fraternal order. It might be let us say this is the early 1900s. he may join a early fraternal order, whatever that may be, whether it's the Rosicrucians, whether it's, Freemasonry, um, some such order, uh, or whatever his trade may be. They may have some form of guild which has organ, and these orders or these guilds or these unions. There's structure, there's organizations. He might be a member of a church, and even the church has a somewhat of a hierarchy and an organizational structure to it, organized structure to it. He may be an active member, might be a deacon or a uh, 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 elder. He might even be a lay minister or lay pastor or lay evangelist, possibly. But my point is, let us say he gets some money together, and in those days, it's not like now; it was completely different. The land intrinsically wasn't expensive. The value in those days wasn't so much in the land. The value was in what you could get off of the land. So you would find a man may, let us say, have 40, 50 acres, 100 acres, even more of land. And he may have uh, purchased um, whatever they call them, saplings or whatever, little trees, whether they be mahogany, spruce, whatever type of trees, I don't know, ironwood trees, birchwood trees, whatever, or some form of trees that are conducive for maybe making furniture, um, special hardwood trees. He may decide, well, okay, he bought the land and he would purchase these trees, plant them, and he may plant several acres of, say, trees in the hope that in a number of years, like an investment, in a number of years, he could sell them and make money in the future, and then he may go on to some other uh, venture doing what he's doing. Unfortunately, let us say, in many cases, a lot of the men would die young. So let us say the man passes away, the mother is left with six, seven children, which was the norm in those days, and she's left to fend for the children. So she does her thing. She does her best. The family grows and grows. Children split off and move as families normally do. Uh, but no one took the time to transfer the land. The woman didn't take the time to go and have her husband's land transferred into her name. So it sits there from, let us say, 1906 straight up to 2025, and there may be um, a few houses on these property with the descendants in, let us say, 2025, scattered around in and around this land. So you would have now, several generations later, 2025, one brother living on one little section, another brother or another aunt is on another section. But they're generations down the line, because remember, now we're talking well over 100 years. But again, the land has not been turned over into the it hasn't there hasn't been a successive um, transfer of the land title. So it is still in the great 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 grandfather's great, maybe four grandfathers back, or four, five, or six grandfathers back, um, and it's in the original man's name. And remember, now you would find people who are not blood related would come in, sons would marry, they would have children, and sometimes you'd have people who are not blood related would end up settling the land for whatever reason and stuff. But here you are, a couple hundred acres of land, whatever, with all of these trees. But again, let us get back to the beginning. No one knows, because no one took the time to pass down the family history knowledge. No one knows why all of those trees are up, are on the property. They may not even know what type of trees they are, or they may just assume that they have always been there and is a natural part of the whatever they would call the flora and fauna, whatever terms they use. They'd probably think it was just a natural part of the environment. They may not have known, because the land is so huge. They may not have necessarily, the current generations have walked out the property because it's highly forested. A lot of other bushes would have been allowed to grow up in and amongst these other special trees. And they really don't even know may not even know the extent or numbers of the special trees on this acreage. They don't have a survey map of the land. In some cases, they don't know where the boundary of the property is. It's a real mess. So, all because the family has no hierarchical structure. No one took the time to, the mother may not have been a part of what the father was doing, so she wouldn't know how to pass on those um, internal administrative type skills of hierarchy and so on and so forth to her children. um and everyone is unorganized. It's a mess to go and get all of this sorted out. Why? Because they lost the family history. Perhaps if they had the family history, perhaps the youngsters could have followed in this ancestral footsteps. Perhaps. So I'm just illustrating that to show that, when people lose their family history, and then they lose the contextual meaning of a space, and it's basically a kind of chaotic, unorganized space, because they've lost the history of their family.